Hi everyone, welcome to Courageous Conversation. This is Inside the Civility Camp 2020. It's actually our last segment this year, and I'm so very excited as we focus on the young generation, the now leaders, and what they have to say about their own personal life and about issues about life and the society in general, and of course how they have to build their future. So together with me are very respected and respectful panelists who are authorities and experts in their own areas of concern. And let me begin by, I think, the closest one who is next to me. Please, hi.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Please, I want you to tell us about yourself, or rather tell the audience about yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Husna Saumu Ibrahim. I am an IT expert, I'm a modest model, and I'm a mental health advocate.
Wonderful.
Yes.
We're glad to have you here.
I'm happy to be here.
So much shall be learned from you. Well, our next panelist, wonderful, beautiful lady. Please introduce yourself, tell us about yourself briefly.
Hello everyone, I'm Mercy Muka. I'm a relationship coach, and I enjoy seeing people growing in their relationship. So that's why I'm here today, so that we can discuss more on relationship.
Wow, young people, I know relationship is the most appetizing area of our interaction. So there is an expert in the house. Well, my last panelist, man I respect, the international icon, that's how I regard it. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, I appreciate it. My name is Eric Avo. I am a leadership scholar and also a digital marketing specialist. I'm so glad to be here.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Digital marketing.
Digital marketing expert.
So you can see, I have experts here, I have coaches here, I have professionals here, and above all, they are all young people. They have the very needs that every young people is having, and it's my pleasure. Perhaps just a quick one, beginning from here. What is one thing that concerns you about the current generation of the young people?
What I would say is, or what I understand, that most of the youth right now struggle with trying to fit in.
Trying to fit in?
Yes, everybody, even as adults, but it starts with the young people. Everybody wants a sense of belonging. Everybody wants to feel like they belong to a certain clan, you know. So with the youth, they struggle so much because as they are growing, they still haven't figured out their personalities. So as they are growing, I know that is one thing a lot of young people are struggling with, and they always end up, everybody wants to be cool. So whatever they're seeing on TV, on social media, being deemed as cool, which most of the time is very misleading. So I'm not tarnishing, let's say mostly secular music. Whatever is being sung, or like I can give an example of like gengeton. To them, they feel like it's cool, but it has a negative impact on them. So I feel like a lot of young people are struggling with the sense of belonging and trying to fit in.
Fitting in.
Yes.
Great, Coach Mercy. What about yourself? One thing that you feel is a concern, a big concern to you about our current, present generation of our young people?
About the current situation of the generation, what they are going through, you realize most of them, they have not realized who they are. So one major concern is that what is their main perspective, how they live in life, what is their mindset, what do they think about life, regardless of their characters, of how they've been growing their background, but how do they view life? I think that's what I would like us to.
Identity and perspective.
Yeah.
Wow. Identity and perspective in crisis. Our scholar, what is one thing that concerns you when you look at the young generation? And I know you belong there.
So I am one of them. mean, I'm a youth. That's what I mean. One thing is the youth want to speed in the process of achieving it without having the sense, a sense of responsibility. They want to make it overnight, but they don't want to go through the process of making it. They just want to live a dream and blame anything, anybody, if they don't make it that overnight. It has to be hard work, it has to be consistency. So I think that is what I would really say the youth are also going through in the current state. They're trying to make it, what we normally call komoka. They want to komoka, it's a common one. But then you ask them, what is your strategy? They normally say, when preparedness, when opportunity meets preparedness, it's a boom, you go somewhere. But see, most of them are not prepared. So when even opportunities come, there's nothing, but they still want to make it. So some of those people get into, the youth, in which is a greater percentage, they become depressed to some extent because what they expect is not there. Because of what? They want to make it fast without having a sense of responsibility.
Wow. I call it escaping the process. Escapists of the process. I like what you have just spoken. Preparation. Now, I think every young person will appreciate that preparation is not a luxury. And I think that's why our focus today has to do with specific particular topics we consider that our young people need to be equipped. Our young people should not be ill-equipped over them. And these topics are critical, and I do believe that you'll appreciate our panelists. And I want to bring our first focus has to do with adulting. Nobody is born an adult. Every one of us is born very young, very small. And we pass through the process which the scholar has just mentioned here, that we are a generation of young people that want everything to be there, but we are not interested in the process. But to cruise us through over this topic of adulting, I want Coach Usna to just give us an overview. Exactly, what are we talking about? Adulting is a key element. So welcome, Coach.
Thank you. To introduce what adulting is, basically is becoming a grown-up, and in becoming a grown-up, it comes with responsibility, knowing what to do, then doing it with minimal fuss or self-pity. You accept this is your responsibility. That is part of being an adult. That is adulting. In a layman's language, I can give an example. Adulting is knowing when to do the right thing. If I can give an example, like after university, you get a job. Yes. Most people, after you get a job, your parent will tell you, hey, now you're earning, you need to
You're an adult.
You're an adult. Go live by yourself, create space for your younger ones, yeah? So once you leave your parents' house, how do you start fending for yourself? How do you start taking care of yourself? That is all part of adulting. Knowing when to change your pillowcase and bed sheets without anybody telling you. You're used to your parents telling you, the bed sheet ni chafu, Now you live by yourself. Are you going to sleep on it until the color changes? So that is adulting. Knowing how to take care of yourself, knowing who to network with, how to network with people, how to relate to people out there without anyone giving you the guidelines. These are things we learn as we grow. So we'll expound more on that as we continue. But that is just a small introduction on what adulting is all about.
Wow. Hear that? Coach Mercy?
Yes.
How was your adulting? I should be more personal here. You just heard what Usna has explained.
Yeah, that's true.
Most of our young people, some of them who end up in high school, they don't transit to university. They are in that process of adulting. I don't know, but I'm just trying to imagine, because for me, Usna, I want you, before Mass comes in, we were taught that when you are in puberty and you realize as a young person, your voice has changed, you're already an adult. So do you want to tell me that is not being an adult?
that's physical. I'm talking about mentally. Mentally being ready to be an adult is different from, you know, the physical features that change on your body during adolescence.
Mercy, what do you say?
I think I agree with her because you realize there are people who are big, but their mindset, the way they think, the way they perceive life to be, it is childish, but yet they are adults. So I think it's
So, when you talk about adulting, you're meaning to say it's mental capacity?
yeah, adulting is all about mental capacity. How fast can you think? How far can you think? Yeah.
Scholar.
Yes, I will give an example with emotional intelligence. There are people who are, emotional intelligence is not a topic that we're discussing today, but it's an example maybe to put this into perspective. There are people that are academic, their intelligence in academia is superb. When you talk about maybe spiritual, waganga and pastors, they know how to do their things. And that is intelligent, but still is intelligent. So when you come to adult, there's a common saying that we normally say kijana mzee. So a young man, but the mind is thinking like a very old man. But at the same time, we still have very old people that can't even think like a 10-year-old. It can be IQ, but you see there are so many factors that come on board. But all I'm trying to say is everybody gets to mature, and maturity for me is not adult. Maturity, you can mature. Maturing, reaching at a point of probably around 30 years or 25, where you are now talking about puberty, for me is maturing physically. It's not adulting. For me, that's what I'm talking about. Adulting is about the mind. Because you can't be 30 years and you're doing something like for 20, a 10-year-old. I'll still call you a baby. You can take offense as much as I care, but the mind needs to grow. So that's what I mean.
I actually agree with all of you. All your points are right when it comes to adulting. And to be honest, we have people who are way older than us, the youth, but they're thinking, you can say, adulting is a process. You learn as you grow. But there are people who, I can say, maybe influenced by the environment or their surrounding, depending on who was around them. Maybe they didn't get the correct guidelines, so some are grown but have primitive thinking. But I know today we are focusing on the youth and how to help them go through this process of adulting without all these challenges. Because to be honest, with the research I've done, 80% of the youth don't know what they're doing.
What?
80% of the youth don't know. They know, okay, it's a phrase, it's adulting. But most people feel like part of adulting, I can say, is something happens or you're emotionally in a frenzy. So most of the youth are usually I know me, I question myself. I can find myself in a certain period of time, maybe I'm into, let's say, movies, but I know it's very time consuming. Binge watching series, it's time consuming and you have other responsibilities. So most people have that thing of asking themselves, is this a phase or is this a problem? And how do I solve it? So if it's a phase, after a short while you're going to outgrow it and get back to your schedule and continue. But to some people, they take it as, okay, it's a problem, okay, I've accepted it. I know I'm lazy, I'll just be binge watching series. So see, somebody's like, but that's the only thing I do for fun. They create it as an excuse. So part of adulting is knowing yourself. First thing is focus on your mental health. When you focus on your mental health, that entails knowing yourself, accepting yourself for who you are. Yeah? Don't live in a fantasy world. Me, I'm like this, me, I'm like that. But that when you are alone, like, who are you when you are all by yourself? Ukikaa kwa nyumba peke yako, who are you? Like, are you still faking it the way you fake it when you're out there with your friends? So as long as you've accepted yourself, you know your flaws, you know how to work around your, I can say, weak points, Once you know that, and you have a focus, you have a goal to reach, that's already you're mentally healthy. And if there's anything bothering you, you know the right steps to follow so that you don't fall into depression and anxiety or stress until get into other bad behaviors. So first thing, know yourself. Second thing, how do you relate with people around you? I can say friends, know who to network with, how to network with people. All of us get to meet new people every day. Even today I've met new friends. But what does this person, what kind of impact do they have on you or in your life? Is it positive? And if it's not, how do you still keep them as a friend but not take everything they bring to you, you know? You can still keep somebody as a friend without being rude. Not that we all have to benefit from each other by force. You never know at what point you'll need help, right? So adulting, know how to network with people, who is important, put your priorities right. So all this is part of adulting.
Wow. I'm trying to imagine. So there's a problem here that I'm trying to capture.
Yes.
You want to tell me that today so many people who regard themselves to be adults are still boys and girls in a big body, so to speak?
I can say yes. Not
all, of course.
Not all,
but
and
majority.
Not throwing shade, but a lot of people. Usually, people say fake it till you make it, but some people fake it all their lives because they're not making it, so they keep faking it.
Wow.
So you'll find somebody really grown, but they've never sat down to like process who am I and what is my aim in this life, what is my purpose, what are my goals. There are some people who just, some people who lie until they believe their own lie.
Sure, I get it.
Yeah, so it's the same thing you're saying. You can find somebody really grown but mentally not so grown.
Let's wrap it up now.
Yes.
Living in a fantasy world, not knowing who you are and whom you should relate to, it has resulted into many of us considering ourselves to be adults, yet we are still untaught, unschooled on even what adulthood actually means. Very exciting, very powerful truths here. I do believe that you have benefited from that very talk that we have had with our resource person, Coach Husna. Glad helped by the coach. I want us to go to our next segment, and this segment is interesting because I remember one of my professors telling me, if you know that your head is made up of fat, you don't go to the proximity of fire because you know what fire will do on fat. So if you understand that your substance, you are made up of fat, you really must avoid where fire is. And this is to simply tell you the relationship, diversity of relationship. But today we want to focus on mutual relationship. And of course, I'm privileged to have our coach. I want to welcome her. Welcome.
Thank you.
Coach Mercy. It's a pleasure to have you in this courageous conversation.
Happy to be here today.
I know you're smiling, you're already excited about your topic.
Yeah.
Now please, I want you to give us an overview about, our young people and their mutual relationship. Just give us an overview of what you feel and what you consider may be the problem, and perhaps I will come to get the solution, of course, from you and the panelists.
Thank you. Once again, I'm grateful for this opportunity. And when we talk about relationship is all about how do you interact with one another, the opposite sex or even your same sex. And all human beings are relational beings. We are all relational beings. So you realize that most of the youths nowadays, in the generation of today, some of them have a hard time in interacting with each other. Maybe I can call it boy-girl relationship. So today we want to focus on how really should we interact with one another without affecting each other, going through a lot of heartbreaks. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and he happens to tell me that he cannot talk anything on relationship because personally he has already been wounded. He has been hurt many times. So today we'll be here, we'll be talking about relationships. What are those goals? What should you look in a relationship? What should you focus on? Where should you adjust when it comes to relationship? And another thing about relationship, you realize that you find there are problems. How will we solve these issues? Because relationship is all about character. How do you relate with one another? Personality change. Do I have to adjust? I love wearing trousers, we love putting on skirts, and we are friends. Now, how will we move with one another? One of us must sacrifice for us to go together. Then the other thing about relationship it's that it's all about sacrifice. If you want to be with someone, if you want to relate with someone, it reaches a point where you have to sacrifice one thing so that you can get the other. So when it comes to relationship, you just have to be broad-minded. It's true we have obstacles and we have challenges, but there are those people who still thrive in those challenges. Yes.
Wow. Now, I want to ask this question. How do you consider the current generation? What is their view about mutual relationship? Of course, you have talked about, I want to focus on the mutual relationship whereby the opposite sex. Now, what is their current view of these younger people when they are relating? And does their view hold as they relate? What are the problems that they are facing as it relates to their mutual relationship? Or they are not facing problems?
They are not facing problems. And I think what is happening right now in the current generation is that everyone wants to be in a relationship. But the problem we are facing as the generation of today is that we don't have a specific goal. There is no goal. They are not goal oriented. Yes, I'm in this relationship. What am I looking for? You realize most of the youths, they end up being in a relationship maybe because of their pressure. They will say, I want to be like so and so. Or maybe they've heard a friend saying, yesterday I went to a certain party with I saw such a person. So they will want to know. They will want to explore. You see, as a youth, it is a stage of exploring. You see, you have to explore. You cannot sit in one place and expect to realize yourself. You just have to explore. So what is really eating up the generation of today is that they are not goal-oriented when it comes to the relationship. Or even if they have a goal, they are being driven by their hormones because they are growing. You see, once you're growing, when you come to puberty stage, it is very natural, very biological, that your hormones will start directing you. But when your hormones
now, okay, I'm having a problem here. How can hormones direct me?
Yes.
I'm getting it so interesting because I always believe that what directs me is what I believe. Okay, now you're talking about hormones directing me. Okay, how does it come?
Oh, that's a very good question. I'm sure there is somebody outside there also asking, how can I be directed by them?
Yeah.
When it comes to hormones, a hormone is something biological. It is a feeling that comes from within. For instance, you're a guy and you've seen a beautiful lady person there. There is that inner drive that will push you toward that person. And when you realize that most of us, maybe they are up to sex, most of us, we just want to be seen with this girl, just to take a snap and say, I'm with this girl, this is my chick, this is my guy. So you see, those feelings, those are the ones which directs you to make a certain decision.
It's not a demon, because I've heard people talk about when you whatever that you must have a demon. So you're trying to tell us that it's not a demon?
No, we cannot say it's a demon because the person who created us, our creator himself, is the one who created us like that. If it were a demon, then we could have said that there is a percentage of people who don't have it. So it is just nature.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you guys are getting, every young person, it's getting interesting. I understand that each one of us has hormones, and those substances in our body, as God has, created us, they tend to give us certain given feelings that drive us to make certain given steps or to live certain given life. Husna, do you agree?
I do agree because Hormones trigger emotions.
Yep.
I think the word is emotions. So your emotions drive you towards that, and as you're growing, all of us pass through puberty, and we all have memories of all the silly things we did during puberty because we were not in control of our emotions. As you grow, you learn to control your emotions. So yes, I believe Mercy is right. By the time young people need to understand that they are growing, and they all have this tendency of thinking they know it all at that point. We were all there, but as you grow older, you just remember, you start seeing whatever you are doing was very silly and you did not know anything at all. But it's because of the hormones and your emotions. It makes you believe you're always right. But as you grow,
now,
you understand.
I have a question. Now that you guys are saying it's hormone, should we be comfortable in every irresponsibility our young people are in?
No.
Now that it is hormonal?
No, you cannot blame it on
Yes,
hormones.
okay. Let me hear from a scholar.
The ratio of sex into responsible relationship today, now it's close to around 7 to 3. I don't know. Okay, you can do the mathematics, minus whatever. It's like 3 is to 1 or something. You realize then a greater percentage of people are sex. These days to get to have sex
it's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
Because
Like
that is what is being sold on social media. And
so
all
you find
that.
getting into a serious relationship, it's a whole responsibility. And as we said earlier, in most of the youth, most of us, we are avoiding responsibility because the responsibility is work and we are avoiding work. So sex is just something that can be done because hormones and feelings are driving, and they are so much that, and the influence is there. So I think that is where now, from what you're saying, I can back up and say that the responsibility that the youth have in terms of relation is that, they are taking sex as the thing that should drive them. But again, we also need to be relational. We also need to be responsible. Those are some of the things that needs to be. That is my take on that.
Well, then to all of you, I seem to get to understand how you're describing the crisis of our young people. Number one, you have talked about something to do with explore, the quest to explore, to have adventure has made the young people to actually, the most enticing, alluring part is the sexual adventure, right?
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask, when is sex relevant in a relationship? Okay, is there a difference between sex and relationship? And can you have relationship without sex? I want you guys to respond because I really want the young people to understand. Yes, you're talking about relationship. You want us to relate. You don't want us to have sex. Or you want us to have sex and be out of relation. I want you to articulate this issue so that somebody there is able to understand that we are not anti-sex and we are not anti-relationship, but these two, where do they converge? When should they do? Because they're asking me, perhaps as a host of this courageous conversation, they're asking me, you people don't leave us in limbo and in more confusion. You are talking about sex, but you're going round. Now tell us, where and when?
I would say, for me to be more of an advice to the youth, everything has its time and its place. At their age, as I said, as Mercy mentioned, they have hormones in their bodies, and they're still not emotionally mature to handle let's talk about sex. They're not emotionally mature to handle the responsibility that comes once you start indulging in sex. So for me, I would like to say, yes, you can be in a relationship, a boy-girl relationship, but sit and discuss. Once you open that, you can say Pandora's box, are you really ready and fully responsible to handle everything? Because sex is very, how do I put it?
Sex is very explosive.
It's very
Put it that way.
explosive, yes.
Yeah.
And there's so much more that it entails. It's not just the happy feeling. Okay, what if the girl gets pregnant? You're teenagers, you're probably still in high school. You've ruined your life, you've ruined hers. If this is somebody you claim you love, of course you want to be the best for them and you want to see them do good as well, right? So yes, we're not anti-sex, but at their age, they're not emotionally mature and ready to handle all the responsibilities that come with it. That is all I can say about that.
Thank you. Scholar, before we come to the relationship coach to conclude on us, what do you say about that? What's your input? She's just spoken about this timing. That's what I've got it.
Yes.
And that emotionally immature,
yes.
emotional immaturity does not allow you to really run into sex. So there is timing.
Sure.
Which has to do with there must be a certain given maturity a young person must grow into.
Yeah.
What about yourself? What do you see?
We have a mind to think. That's the reason God created trees, never made chairs, so that we can come up with the chairs.
Wow.
So I think the better thing is think before you do. We have been given reproductive systems to operate, but it's up to you to know when should I start operating. You cannot ride a bicycle without the wheels or without just the pedals. You can do that, but it's still a bicycle. I mean, you must know. You have been given those reproductive systems, allow me to say that, but you must know when to start making them, start working. And that means that you have to have a sense of responsibility. And I'm not saying it's bad to have sex, but you must do it, as she has said, at the right time, when you know that you are capable of dealing with anything that comes after what you do. Because what you do is what you start thinking about. What have I done? Those are the consequences that might actually stay with you for the rest of your life. So it's not bad to have sex. It's not bad to have sex, not bad to be in relation, but use your mind when is right time. You can have sex when you are 30, when you marry, or when you marry maybe at 22. If that is the right time, I think that is what I will advise them. But do it when it's the right time, when you are fully responsible for anything that comes up.
Great. In 1 minute, relationship coach, what is the right time?
The right time, I think, the way they have just said, it's all about responsibility. It's all about emotional stability. Because when it comes to sex and you're relating with someone, what if you've already had sex with this person and this person leads you? Are you stable enough to hold yourself? Are you stable enough to collect yourself together and move on again? Then the other thing they have said is that most of the people are sexual explorers. They will want to explore. So you realize that 90% of the youth in the generation we are in today, they have already explored. We cannot say that they know nothing. It is true they know they know almost everything. But how are we going to help them? Now I know there is that person who is there and they are asking us that I'm already there, I'm already in that pit. How can I get myself out of it? It's all about mindset. You control your mind. You decide this is not right. Right now I'm not stable. Right now I should not be doing this. Once you accept it in your mind, the mind is what has the power to control everything inside you. Once you decide I won't do this, it doesn't matter how much the emotions come, the hormones rise, but you in your mind it won't respond because your mind has refused. So I think that's the solution to the generation.
Thank you. The battle is in the mind. Actually, somebody said sex is a mind thing. And perhaps you will come to ask the married. But there's something I want to ask more specific for Usna. I'm giving you 1 minute and 30 seconds. You're just talking about this time responsible. Now, I want to be very, very straight. Is it when you marry or before you marry, you can still have it. Yes, we admit that some of us have already had it, right? Yes, but we want to have a helping solution here. When is it? When do you tell these people that could be the appropriate time?
Okay.
Married or before?
I would say if you can, kindly and please abstain till marriage. But I would like to explain in a more relatable example.
30 seconds explanation.
Yes. There's a sheikh, so I'm a Muslim, so I relate to that. There's a sheikh called Mufti Meng, and he said, when you get into a relationship, you are close to this person, you share a lot. Maybe it's the first time you've hugged a person of the opposite sex. It's the first time you hold hands. You do special things to this person, yes? You break up, you get into another relationship. You'll want to do something more special to that person, right? So, and all this, it takes something from you. So, the reason why I'm saying if they can, they abstain till marriage is because, okay, let's say you've gotten into 4 or 5 relationships, yes? They've all taken something special from you. By the time you get married, that is when all these things are supposed to feel special. What will you be feeling?
If you are really burning and you're seriously burning, marriage is not about age. Settle. That means have a person that you're going to pour all those particular burning. Yeah. In other words, when you marry, the burning will cool. Now my question is marriage the remedy of your sexual appetite? Once again, welcome to Courageous Conversation. You know, courage is a determination to be better, to be greater, to be the best, and actually refusing to go down, to be stopped, or to be threatened by situations that we face. That's courage. And our young people, if there is any time that they have to be courageous, it is this very time. I want us to look at our last segment, which has to do with leadership. And I want to begin here for our young people. It has always been said, young people, youths are the leaders of tomorrow. I want to begin there with my panelists. And of course, I will begin with our very own scholar who is going to handle leadership. I want you to answer me this question before you give us an overview on leadership. Do you agree that youths are the leaders of tomorrow?
Absolutely not. The youth are the leaders of today. I can give so many reasons, but we have a responsibility today. We have a responsibility to change, to come up with solutions today, not tomorrow. Tomorrow is not promised, so we got to do a lot today, and that is leadership. So we are leaders
now.
Today. Everything we work, think, everything we research on, it should be based on coming up with solutions of today, and that is leadership of now. So we are leaders of now.
Hi, that's powerful. If you are looking for a solution, you're already a leader. In other words, even the definition of a leader is coming out of this very panel. Now, before I just come back to hear some overview about the leadership now, or the now leader, I want Coach Mercy to comment. Do you agree over that? Youths are leaders of tomorrow. This is always common. It's everywhere. The street. Our politicians have been telling us that youths are the leaders of tomorrow. They have been coming up with policies to enable you to be leaders of tomorrow. Do you agree with that?
So they've been saying that youths are leaders of tomorrow. To some extent it's true, because how can you be a leader today if you're not mentored? I think it is today you're being mentored, then tomorrow you become a leader. So maybe the coach that is out of that when it comes to leadership, they should be mentored today, they should be made known today that tomorrow they are leaders. That's what I know.
So with you are in agreement that actually it is true. It makes sense that the young people should wait and lead tomorrow. They should be waiting to be mentored to lead tomorrow.
They should watch, they should learn by observation. observation. How are other leaders doing? We should be responsible because tomorrow we will be leaders. I think that's what.
That's Coach Mercy. It makes sense. Husna, what do you say?
I am differing with Coach Mercy, sorry to say. Because let's be more practical here, yeah?
Yeah.
We know in Kenya around more than 75% of the population in Kenya are the youth.
Yes.
Right?
I agree.
And majority of the youth, apart those who have cleared school, more than 50%, more than 70% are unemployed. Right? And our politician keeps telling us the youth are the leaders of tomorrow. How can they be leaders? They're not putting in the right policies to mentor the youth. They're not giving enough opportunities to the youth to try and fend for themselves and learn and be leaders. Who are they going to lead? They are jobless. They can't fend for themselves. How do they even start? So we need to have more programs like this, and I know there are so many other youth initiatives out there that are really trying to mentor young people and putting them in leadership positions, be it in churches, in madrasas, in mosques, different places of worship, different community institutions where they're being taught how to be leaders, leading. Even if you're a leader of a youth group, you're learning to be a leader of, and you will lead tomorrow, but you need to start now. To differ with what Mercy was saying, they will be leaders of tomorrow, right? But they need to start leading now.
Exactly. Just a second on leadership. It's true, but through observation, the problem is not on the politicians. If you are a youth today and you want to be a leader, you have to observe what are they doing right, what is it that where did they go wrong. To me, you'll be learning by observing. So when tomorrow comes, you do the same problem, the same error which your leader did. So I think you should learn today, observe today, correct yourself today, then become a leader today.
Okay, let me ask you a question. You know how to ride a bicycle?
Yeah, I
Did you learn by practicing or observing?
I first observed, then I went for the practice.
Exactly.
And it was not easy.
So, they've observed enough in school, they've seen prefects. By the time you are a teenager, you need to start practicing how to be a leader. So you can be a good leader tomorrow.
Allow me to react to Daktari.
Yeah.
Just a second on that. One thing, I mean, we must understand is the Englishmen say it very well, tomorrow never comes. Never comes. So this is
there is no tomorrow.
There's no tomorrow.
If you have to be a leader now.
Today.
Because if you put it in your mind that you will be a leader tomorrow, it is what we call a cycle of ignorance.
I love that.
You're not even thinking anything. So they make you think that is a tomorrow, which will never come. And that is how they will distribute resources to the people that know. I mean, the people that they know. It will never trickle down to you. It has to, and again, I'll have to tell the youth, you must learn on the job. There are no jobs. So if you get a job, learn on the job.
True.
Stop waiting for tomorrow, because, these things are never, nobody's going to bring them to you. You have to grind and work hard to become that. And trust you me, when you are a youth, you can do a lot than when you are old. When you are youth, you have a lot of skills. When you get old, you know what you'll do? You now start telling the youth, you become leaders tomorrow. Because the only thing you can do, you don't have the energy. You only have the mind to cheat people, to lie to people. And start using resources. So I know, I respect our opinion. But all I'm trying to say is, don't sit down on that couch. Don't sit down there. Don't wait for tomorrow, because it will never come. There are diseases that are there. You need to change your family. You need to change your society.
True.
You need to change so much. Your environment. You can't sit down there. There's no tomorrow.
My
That's
goodness, that's powerful. That's solid, man. Tomorrow never comes. I just like that. Tomorrow never comes. If you can't do it now, then there is no tomorrow to do it. My goodness. If we are the now leaders, we have a certain given influence. How can we use, the digital, or rather in this era, or rather, how can we make our influence as leaders of now be felt in the society? I want you to respond to that as you just give us some overview of motivation.
All right. One thing they always talked about is on digital marketing. I mean, there's a lot of transition. Transition from where we used to be to where we are right now. And one of the things that we must acknowledge and accept is that there's a lot of digital evolution. We used to send letters. Right now we are sending emails. We used to have a cameraman come and take pictures, stay for 3 days in what we call in Kenya, in Aoshwa. So you wash it. I don't know how you can, I mean, the old ways of making it. And right now you just have a snap and you get it within seconds. All I'm trying to say is that the youth, I mean, we have so many opportunities. And because the opportunities are here, we need to use them. And such opportunities you're saying, it's good that I mentioned them, is on the digital market. I mean, that is something. Everybody is on social media. Statistics from Communication Authority of Kenya talks very well about, I mean, 78% of the people that we have within the country, I mean, are using smartphones. And out of that, 60% of those people are the youth, active youth, using smartphones, have an access to the internet. How many times do we snap, take a picture and just snap, and on Instagram, on Facebook? There's a lot of influence, and this is what I normally tell people. Any like you get, allow me to fix it a little bit with responsibility and also finances. Any like you get, it should be above a shilling, $1 or something. It should be additional something, because you can't just wake up in the morning and snap and just do normal things. So there's a lot of great opportunity. How do you do that? You begin to, I mean, you can promote your businesses from there. You don't have to go to the, I mean, go to the kanjo or to the government and get what we normally call the permission slips, which in the traditional days they used to, I mean, you have to go to the authority to get that. But when you have the social media, you have the digital market, I mean, you can do that. It is absolutely free. And how do we gain our experience? I mean, how do we gain our influence out of that? If we use, because if you look right now, I'm sure I might have more views than you are. Because when you're Mzee Kidogo, you're a little bit older than I am.
Absolutely.
So my agenda runs better when right now you produce a music or you do some production. I know very well my production will actually sell better than yours, because yours are older viewers. I mean, are older views than mine, because the youth are the ones that are really taking charge of the internet. And so I know the ideas that will sell. But you being a traditional man, I mean, you know how to give traditional advices. I'm sorry to say that, but there is a lot.
I'm not comfortable to be a traditional man, but now that I get the point,
it's only for the example.
Sure. I appreciate.
I mean, you're just.
I think slow. I am also not so much exposed to the current innovative digital accessories. I have to admit, to my own embarrassment, but the truth here is that what he's saying is very true. I can come up with something so solid, but the marketing aspect, I'm humbled. I'll just apply the methods that I was exposed, which are inferior to what I think you're speaking.
Just to summarize, if you look on YouTube and across social media platforms, anybody who employs any strategy that looks like it's new, it's modern, it gets to trend, or it gets just to be somewhere, it gets to get a lot of money. But when you just want to remain in the old traditional ways of doing things, let's do this. I mean, there is no return on investment. And so we have a great opportunity, we have a greater chance of making influence to this generation, because we know the know-hows, we know what to do, we know how to do it digitally. And we are blessed by that. So, I mean, our IQ, I think, our IQs these days, the youth of these days, I mean, they are sharper because of the exposure that is there. So I think we have a great opportunity for us to make a lot of influence. We might not talk, because they normally say that the youth should chill or sit down when the old are talking. We don't want to begin to fight with the old at the barazas. I don't know how you call barazas in English. But in the traditional, anyway, the traditional ways of how we used to do it, the old used to sit somewhere, and the youth used to be out of it. We still respect that traditional, I mean, for Africans. All we're trying to say is there's no respect on digital space. Do your thing, you'll be happy. And you'll do way better than sitting down there and just doing like what we call crusade campaigns. So digital space has a lot for us to do.
Now, two things I'm getting. That the youth and the young people now should not sit and try to emulate the traditional kind of leadership.
They should add on that.
They should add on that and be innovative and, enter their space through the digital aspect. I'm liking something here, and I don't know how I can put it here. Now, it seems that the present young people have economic benefits in their leadership if they are sound enough and swift enough. Can you say that? Sure. Because what you're talking about is like we have always had a systematic flow of godfathers. You realize that if your father does not know somebody in a particular office, to talk to that person, you may never get a job, right? And that has been a system that has been dictating who comes in the position of influence. But what I'm getting from the scholar is that you don't need that method to give you influence. You need simply to understand that you have a larger digital space, and what you carry can actually begin to influence the entire globe. Like for instance, right now we are in Courageous Conversation. After this, you go to the YouTube, Courageous Conversation, and you will definitely get every important point that you are perhaps stuck over. It's already a solution given being unleashed on this platform. And we are talking from Kenya, but you can discover somebody from Indonesia, somebody from America can access the truth that we are sharing here. I agree together with you, sir. And I appreciate for your great input. What does Coach Mercy say in 30 seconds?
On digital leadership, I think it's very positive. And when we say that we are leaders today, yes, when it comes to leadership of today, you can lead someone who is outside the country. You are still a leader because you just post something, you just post a statement there, and you realize, even if not the people who are there, you just posted it, but many people will be following that. That's already leadership because that's an influence. So yeah, I agree on when it comes to digital leadership, that one is very important.
Don't be a local champion. That's what I believe Mercy is saying. You don't need to be geographically confined if you are a village champion. No. The digital space has given you a crowd that you never applied for. The digital space has given you people. If your village refuses you, the other continent is welcoming you. So guys, young people, I hope you are getting Musna.
I would like to add on, I agree with all their points, and I'd like to add on it more of like an advice to the young leaders we already have out there. Like, utilize your digital space well. We have a lot of influencers in Kenya. They are called social media influencers, and they are paid a lot of money and right now a lot of companies are actually hiring them to do marketing for them and advertisements. Nowadays you don't need
That's an opportunity.
It is an opportunity. So even if you're a young leader, if you have information you'd like to pass, right now everybody is digital. Everybody walks around with their phones, so you can access anybody and everybody at the same time. So just make sure you convey your message to the right, not the right people, but everybody on social media can access your message. Just don't shy off or wait for like when there's a political rally, they start chasing politicians around so they can give you a platform for you to talk to people. No. Record you have a smartphone, record yourself at home, post it. Ask your friends to share. Your message will get out there. You can actually just start being a leader. We said you don't have to wait for tomorrow. You can start being a leader. You have something to say, be it in the state of the country, be it political, or whatever affair is going on in the country, and you have something positive to say about it, you have a message to pass, just record yourself and post it online. Ask your friends to share. It will get to the right ears. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you so much. Thank you, panelists. It was a wonderful, wonderful segment. Wow. It's been phenomenal. It's been amazing in our Civility Camp 2020 in this very special show, The Courageous Conversation. I hope you have continued to enjoy the show, and we are so excited to have participants who are not silent. They have been following the panelists whom I have here together with me. Panelists, well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you so much.
So there are certain questions that have come up before we wrap up our show tonight or today. I want actually in some few minutes, I want you to articulate some answers, some directions, some counsel. And I want to start with adulting, which was actually our first segment and our first focus. Now, there's a question which is saying, how can I discern and know that I am an adult? If 90% of the youths don't know what they are doing, that is, they're adulting, but they are in ignorance of adulting. You know?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
Yes. So, how can I discern and know that I am an adult?
As I said when we started, a lot of people are doing, or a lot of people are growing, and living life responsibly. But inside you always feel like you're not doing it perfectly. And the answer is nobody is perfect. Just do your best. A few points that I had mentioned about self-care, about mental health, also managing your finances, also networking. Just follow a few steps. Also, if you're on social media, you can follow me. You can follow, there's a mental health group called Nivishe. They give you guidelines on all this adulting and how to cope with different situations. Even if when it comes to, some people suffer from childhood trauma and such things. So for more questions, you can post them on our social media and we'll gladly answer. But in regards to this, nobody is perfect. Just do your best to be responsible and handle your affairs the right way.
Do your best to be responsible. Just use the knowledge that our coach was able to share, and above all, follow our link, of course, on YouTube.
Yes.
Courageous Conversation. Chat with us. We will be able to give more details and be able to link you with our partner experts that we consider may give you even more information. But I do believe you have heard what she has said. You have already some tool. You have already some tool, some skills that you have obtained from our interaction and conversation. You cannot afford to continue being ignorant. Now, there's another question which I think is good for me before I go to the other aspect. This question is saying, how do you overcome or convince your parents that you are an adult, yet they don't trust you or believe in you? What a question. How do you overcome or convince your parents that you are an adult?
Okay.
How?
You cannot convince your parents that you're an adult by word of mouth. Your actions should show. Are you acting responsibly? Are you doing what you're supposed to do without being pushed or without feeling self-pity? Your actions should actually show them that you're responsible enough, hence you're being an adult. Not by you telling them all the time, I'm an adult, I can do this. No, that is actually a very childish behavior. So your actions should speak louder than your words.
In other words, adulthood is not explained, it is expressed. You have to manifest that there is something you know and you're responsible enough of what you want to do, what you are saying, or where you want to go, or whom you want to relate to. Because I remember Coach brought very powerful points that adulting has to do with knowing whom to network, who should be out of your circle and who should be in your circle. So you must demonstrate that the friends that you're bringing at home in your parent, at home, are friends that are honest, or rather they are friends that are not suspicious.
That's
Wonderful. Thank you. What do you want to say on that? Because I think those were the two questions that our participants wanted us to address.
I support her.
Marcy,
Exactly. That's a good answer.
she has given the right answer.
Yeah.
So guys, I think you can hold on that. Thank you so much for those of participants who asked the question on adulting. Now, I want to go to, I think relationships seem to have some serious stuff. Let me go to leadership. I want us to go to leadership. Our scholar is already ready. Now, this is a question one. How can you become a leader of today, yet you are not given an opportunity by those in authority, or rather they don't entrust you at any given point? What a question.
Opportunities are never given.
Wow.
You grab them.
You grab them.
Because they're never there.
You seize them.
You seize them as they come. So you meet them or you go for them. They will never come to you. So you have to wake up in the morning and go for it. It will never come and find you asleep or just waiting and meditating and dreaming.
Wow. That one doesn't need any addition. You seize them. So young people, don't again depend on those whom you have been depending. We are changing the narrative of dependency. Respect, be loyal, observe, learn, but then seize opportunity, right?
Exactly.
Now another question is saying, concerning digital leadership, what is your take on those youths who are from the most remote areas, yet they are passionate?
If you're passionate about something, you will always come out from the things that are making you really not to be the person that the passion wants you to be. So that means you'll be out of your comfort zone. And that means, you can't say you're passionate and you're still still seated somewhere where you are not able to, you're not having the resources to fuel your passion. And again, you can as well come from the village and come to the city, but the village fails to come out of you. So you coming out of the village is something different. But you can come out from the village, or you can take the city to the village and transform the village to a city. Or you can come from the village and come to the city and become an icon within the city. So there is no excuse that you are in a remote area. It is remote because you are not influential enough. So change the narrative that it should not be remote. It's remote because of you. And because of your passion, change it digitally. So that's what I'll say.
Wow. Now, I like it. Your passion can become your portion. That's exactly what the scholar is saying. Your passion can become your portion. You don't need to complain that, oh, I'm in a remote place, oh, I don't have this. In fact, remoteness means opportunity. So you just need to obey and be loyal to your passion as a young person, and that passion will always make way to get the solution in that remote area. Powerful. I think that question is related to this one. Coach Cavo talked on digital platform as a way of promoting leadership. The question is, how the digital platform will be exposed to people living in rural areas and are not literate to digital media. So he wants to understand now that, yes, I'm illiterate to digital media.
I see. I will say illiteracy is one of the things that you can't. We are not advocating for illiteracy. So first of all, I say to the person who asked the question,
Be literate.
Be literate. Let's start from there. You can never be influential enough. Literacy doesn't mean that you have to be educated. Literacy, you can be literate in your own field of expertise or expertise. So you need really to understand what is it that you want. That is your point of literacy. Just trying to talk about literacy traditionally. So let he or she up the game a little bit, and let's talk from that point of understanding. If the person is passionate enough, because you can't change when you don't know what you want, and you don't know how to negotiate through the networking and through the roots of understanding my passion and what you want. So he or she must understand that you have to be literate first. Then from there, what's next?
My
What's the point of influence next?
He's icon. The scholar, you are hearing. There is no mercy for your illiteracy. Now, actually the Holy Book, both the Quran and the Bible, it speaks of those who know rule those who don't know. So it's important that you actually know. So whatever will cause you to know, it doesn't mean that you have to go in class and be in university for you to be digital, literate. You can simply befriend a digitalized, informed person, and that exposure alone will make you a digital solution wizard or giver. Wow. Thank you, our scholar. Now, this question on relationship, I will hit because they are very, 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 very serious. The first question, practice makes perfect. That's on relationship. Practice makes perfect. Therefore, when you are dating, how do you know that your partner has perfected in such and such an area? For instance, sex.
That's a nice question. I never expected this.
I'm almost paralyzed. First of all, do you know that practice makes perfect?
That's very true. Practice makes perfect. For you to be able to know that someone has perfected on the areas which you want, first know what you want. Talk to this person, because you say it's a relationship. If it's your guy or your lady, you tell her, this is what I want, these are my expectations. This is how I am. That person will be prepared psychologically. And since you've said matter sex is all in the mind, it is all in the mind. So when you told this person, this is what I expect, it will be in the mind, because it's not all about physics or the way you are. It's all in the mind. So I think you just communicate to this person, be open, be free, because this is someone you want to spend the rest of your life with. Be open with this person and tell them your expectation. I think that will help.
What do you say, sir?
Well, practice makes perfect. Perfect what, or perfect, I don't know what you call it. But make sure you perfect your perfection or whatever you're doing with the right person. Otherwise, you'll do the wrong practicing. But it should be in the right time when there's a ring on the finger.
Hey guys, are you hearing? Yes, the principle of practice makes perfect. The coaches are not disagreeing, but the aspect is exact. Yes?
Yeah, that is true. And also, that code does not apply everywhere.
It does not apply everywhere.
You can't practice to die.
You cannot practice to exactly.
I love that.
Yeah, so
Now, guys, we just established sex is explosive. It's objective to produce something. Now, let me say this. There's nobody who is ignorant naturally on sex. Even if you don't know, there are things you are just going to learn. When you reach there, you don't need to practice. Sex, it is just so natural. Even if you don't know where to go, once you reach there and you're married, you will definitely have that instinct to tell you where to go. Fine? I hope you are answered.
Kunyonga.
Kunyonga. Kunyonga tumbili ni mbaya kweli?
Wow, I'm sure that's a question from a person who's living in today's generation. That person is living today. Like I can say that person is living now. Because
how do you regulate hormones, first of all? Let's just be very direct.
When you come to hormones, the only way you can regulate your hormones is by exercising. Hormones are being activated by one, the kind of foodstuffs you eat. Chemicals, hormones are all chemicals in the body. So
what you are feeding?
What you're feeding on, the kind of environment you are. You cannot expect to be watching a pornographic movie, then you expect your hormones to be just there seated. Automatically they will be overloaded.
So the solution is starve your hormones.
You starve your hormones, don't entertain them. If you feel they are coming, go and do something constructive. We have sports, we have swimming. You can go sit there and talk with people. You will have solved it. At the end of the day, you will be on the safe side.
Kunyonya tumbili ni mbaya?
Yeah, they are saying on kunyonya tumbili ni mbaya.
Kunyonga?
Kunyonga.
Okay.
It is basically masturbation.
Yeah.
Oh, I was wondering which language. Oh, so guys,
So kunyonga is masturbation.
Okay.
So when you come to masturbation, automatically you've been overwhelmed with sex, and there is no
you've been
way.
overwhelmed with the feeling
Yeah.
of sex.
Yeah, that feeling is overwhelming you. don't have a solution. Maybe you're here, you're a student, you're in a boys' school, you don't know what to do. Maybe your parents have told you you cannot go outside. And I can tell you for free that masturbation will never help. It will never solve a situation. Because the moment you're like that, you want to satisfy yourself. It's true, you want to satisfy yourself. The day you enter into marriage, it becomes hard because you're used to satisfying yourself. You see, it becomes even tough. So the best thing we've done for you to start masturbating, it is all because of the hormones. So it is all there. Try and regulate your hormones, starve your hormones. Just go sit there and do something. Just be outgoing. Go and explore outside there, but don't put yourself in a situation where your hormones are.
What is the point? The point here is, what coach is trying to say is that sex urge is a legitimate need. But don't illegitimize it. Don't address a legitimate need in an illegitimate way. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Making sense, right? Yes, masturbation. You program your body in an unnatural way because there is a way you are naturally meant to satisfy yourself in that area. Now, when you invent a new way of addressing that legitimate need, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You are programming your body. Now, when it will come to marriage, you have programmed your body and all the tissues and organs are programmed to be satisfied in an unnatural way. Now, let me ask you, do you want to satisfy a legitimate need in an illegitimate way? Follow us. Dr. Juma, the Civility and Peace Ambassador with I Change Nation, working hand in hand with great young people, raising new leaders of now, not tomorrow. We are excited for your attention, for your participation. Thank you, panelists. It was awesome. It was great. Looking forward for the next show. I can't wait to have you once again. I know we may not have answered all the questions that you may be having, but we will gladly receive your question. Just follow us on our YouTube channel, Courageous Conversation. Email us. We will be glad to address your issues. We remain candid. We remain courageous. We remain informative. We remain inspirational. We remain intentional to have a generation that knows what it's doing.